Showtime. We're going live. It's showing that I'm live. I've got the red button. Are we live?
You may fire when ready.
All right, fire. You may fire when ready. Let me fix that. All right. Why Andor Season 2 is the greatest Star Wars TV show of all time. We'll be discussing that today. And we're going to take a look ahead at Season 6 of the Clone Wars. Crash, you've got some tales from the light side, right? No tales from the dark side, tales from the light side?
Light side only, brother.
All right. And Tony, you have a particularly hot take that we were just talking about before the show, and we're going to be getting into that because you and I are going to have to go back and forth on this one, brother. We might have to step outside.
Okay.
Are you ready? You guys ready?
Sure.
Do it.
I'm ready. All right. Let's do it. Stick around. Your Star Wars safe space starts now. Hey there, Star Warriors. Welcome to Star Wars Safe Space, your non-toxic low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that the sound of a lightsaber was created by accident using a broken film projector and the hum of a television back in 1977. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little swarzy curious, this is your Star Wars safe space. We are the Circle of Nerds, and we do indeed love Star Wars so much, even when we don't always like it. So let's meet the Circle of Nerds, shall we? Hailing from parts unknown, it is T to the Oni.
Welcome back to the galaxy, everybody. It's been a long time, but glad to be back.
It has been. It's been like 2 weeks, but it feels so much longer than that, right?
It really does.
We take our little two-week breaks, and it's just like, oh god, it feels like it's been like a month and a half.
I sent you that video from Anaheim, and I was like, "Oh my god, I miss you guys so much!"
Right?
It's been like a week.
It's been like a week. Yeah, it's been like a couple of days, but we're excited because we love it. Okay. And speaking of this gentleman right here, who's been all over the place lately, pilot of the infamous Parma Flyer, it's Crash.
How you doing, everybody? S-Foils locked, ready to go. Let's do this.
All right, and we got so much to talk about today. So what are we doing here? Well, our mission is to watch all of the canon Star Wars films and TV shows in chronological order, which is not always easy to do, breaking them down, connecting the dots, and learning more about Star Wars and maybe even a little about ourselves as well. Now, it would be warning to all you Star Warriors out there, there will be spoilers. So be prepared to that. So today we're going to be talking about primarily looking ahead at season 6, the highs, the lows, the messiness of it. There's a lot going on in season 6. So we're going to be looking ahead to that. We also want to talk about Andor, but our focus is going to be on season 6 because it's known as the Lost Missions. It was supposed to be a full 22 episodes, but it ended up getting yoinked from Cartoon Network, and it aired on Netflix back in 2014. It takes place in 19 BBY, so we're getting closer and closer. But everyone was nervous because no one knew if we were going to see it again, especially after it got yoinked from Cartoon Network. It's like, ugh! And you left us with this cliffhanger, Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Temple. What happens next? But in season 6, we're going to do some things. We got some very nice arcs in season 6. Fives returns. Yoda goes on a deep spiritual journey. There's a lot happening in season 5. In season 6. I'm thinking about Fives, and we've got to get Daddy Lou back on the show to talk about Fives because that's his favorite clone. Isn't he in for a treat?
Oh yes.
No spoilers. All right, but first we're gonna dive into season 2 of Andor just a little bit. And before the show, we were back in our virtual green room talking about Andor and all that. And I talked about I watched Andor season 2, finished it up, wrapped it up, and immediately watched Rogue One, which is kind of like that's kind of like the order you're supposed to watch it in. And I've only ever seen Rogue One once before. Great movie. It's up there. It's like in the top 5, I think. It's a great movie. But Tony, T to the Oni, Jedi Master Baloney, you had a hot take about the tone going from Rogue One to A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider, the end of Rogue One and that hallway scene, Vader
hallway
just dominating, just
Yeah.
utterly destroying
No question.
everything in his path.
Beautiful.
And like, and even that, like, you know, the stormtroopers, and I know they get a lot of shit in the original trilogy for, like, you know, not being very effective, but they are very effective, you know, at the start of this as well.
Yep.
But you go from this you know, this overwhelming force, and then on top of that, Vader, who's just
A beast.
yeah, I mean, for lack of a better word, a beast, just wiping through everything in his path. And then you jump into episode 4, and Leia's standing up to him like, I'm sorry, what? Did you not just see what he just did to everybody in his path to get to you?
Maybe
Like,
she didn't see it.
Like, I love Leia, and Leia's a badass.
She is.
But really?
I mean,
Like-
come
like-
on, man.
Well,
I mean,
Vader was even in New Hope overall. Vader was much more toned down than he was. Empire Strikes Back's really when Vader became the beast we know him as, you know, and because you think about it, in A New Hope, you know, he's sort of subservient to Tarkin. You know,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
from Tarkin. You know, he'll flex his muscle on a Moff in a meeting, but you know, he knows who the boss is, and that's not the Vader we know from Empire Strikes Back moving forward. And in Rogue One, they stuck with the current version of Vader that is the I don't take shit badass. Which again, it's when you jump out from prequel to sequel to prequel to, you know, it gets kind of muddled and confusing, because even the Vader fight with Obi-Wan that we saw in the movie is much more tame than what the hallway scene or what the fan edit of that you know, Death Star saber fight could be,
which was great.
which is great, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
that
I'm
was
not a
great.
fan. You couldn't do that with Alec Guinness in real life back then, and that
No,
was the problem.
No,
Of course not.
no.
But it looks
But-
but it looks sweet now.
But I like with Leia, right? I get it. So my first question, do we think that she actually saw what happened? Because Vader never made it onto the ship. He never made it to the Tantive. He was still in that docking hallway, just murdering these poor rebel troopers. And by the way, when the trooper hits the lever to lock
Release
everything
the ship.
down, and he yells launch, like the way that he says that was like that, it to me that really like set the tone of that scene, because the terror, he was like launch, like I was like, it was brilliant. So do you think, okay, Tony, so do you think Leia was privy to what just happened, the slaughter, the merciless slaughter? I mean, he killed those troops like he was killing younglings. I mean, it's like he had the same passion that he said he has for murdering children and committing genocide as he had on those rebel troopers. So do you think Leia was aware of that?
I mean, I would have to think that, yeah, you know, at her place of authority within the rebellion, having just launched from said ship, like, yeah, she's got to be in radio contact with them as they're dealing with all this stuff. Like, she has to know, even if she didn't physically see it, she has to know what just happened.
So maybe some reports were coming in and hearing the cries for help.
I think what Tony's saying is it's a lot like Ripley in Aliens when she's in the tank with the guys as the guys are going out and getting slaughtered by the xenomorphs. She could hear it over comms,
Right.
but I don't think she was like watching a security cam footage replay of Vader just tearing them up in the hallway, or even the stormtroopers as they boarded. I don't think she was like, you know, watching it like a live stream, you know, but she probably heard the comm traffic and a lot of shouting and a lot of screaming. And
so let me ask you guys this. Have we ever seen Leia afraid? Have we ever seen her afraid?
I think on Bespin, I think when Han was being put in carbonite, and there was a very real sense of, oh shit, we're screwed. Especially having survived being under Vader's captivity once. I think the idea that I can't go back there, you know, I think she was afraid there was no way out until Lando flipped the script.
I disagree. I think she was afraid for Han. I don't think we've ever seen her afraid for herself. When we see the torture droid come in, she kind of like perks up a little bit, like, what's about to happen? But I never got the sense of concern. I mean, concern, certainly, but never fear. I don't think we've ever seen Leia afraid. Tony, what do you think?
I mean, to your point, I don't know so much fear for herself, but like when she's being interrogated early on in episode 4, they're like, give me a target, and and like, even though she knows that it's not the actual target, when she says Dantooine, she knows what she's committing that planet to, and she's fearful for it.
Yeah.
And then when they go ahead and destroy Alderaan anyways, like she's definitely afraid, but it's not for her, it's for the circumstance of the war.
No, she just dogged Tarkin to his face.
Yeah.
Right. Had zero fear of Vader's 7'2" ass. Like, I mean, she just walks up to him in the hallway, and it's like she has zero fear. So for her to act any other way at the end of Rogue One, I feel like it was on brand for her. She's got the transmission, she's right. And that's I'm not saying that she doesn't feel fear. Obviously, I'm sure she does. I'm sure she feels it, very deeply. But man, that woman is so hardcore. She doesn't let it show. She doesn't break a sweat.
She's got a very serious poker face going on.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh,
like she's committed to the cause, and she's going to do what she's got to do.
Committed to the cause. I was kind of hoping to see her, even a glimpse or a mention in Andor season 2, because I feel at that time, because she would have been about 16 years old, I think, at that time. So she would have been around somewhere.
There was talk of that. Snips and I were talking about this on the way home tonight from work, and they were talking about possibly introducing or having like a walk-on cameo of Leia at the Senate. The scene where Benjamin Bratt, shows up as Bail Organa. Yeah. Political function. You could have had like a 16-year-old girl in white with him. From what I understand, is the feeling was it would have been more of that scene was there to introduce Benjamin as Bail, adding other character, known character. They'd have stepped on their punchline.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect her to show up. When I saw Bail, I kind of expected her to be mentioned. Like, if nothing else, this is a reason why I have to stay, is because I have to take care of my daughter.
Yeah.
Like that I would have understood. To not mention it at all was a little surprising, but
I don't. Without saying her name, I think that was sort of because
it was implied.
He'll be a hostage.
Yeah,
it's like, well, he's a hostage because his job is to keep Leia protected, and then he
got her away.
Right.
A couple years later, he was able to get her away, which was smart, because otherwise she would have gone out like everybody else. But he also knew who she was and her importance. So obviously, he wants to maintain her protection. And of course he loved her like a real daughter, obviously. So, and how did you guys feel about that? About Benjamin Bratt, the Benjamin Bratt switch?
I said this on social media as for Star Wars Safe Space. When I liked him, I thought, I would have liked to have Jimmy Smith's, but if he wasn't available for whatever reason, schedule, money, whatever it was, it's like saying, okay, here's having an all-star pitcher as your backup, your second choice. If you can't get Jimmy, an actor like Benjamin Bratt steps into the role, and you're like, problem solved. Because he had a great interview on Good Morning America. I think they were asking him about, he's an actor, but he's also a fan who grew up with, he was talking about, seeing these movies originally, and the idea that him stepping into a known character was a big deal for him personally. I was like, yeah, it's one thing to play a new character. It's one thing to be in a new series, but to say, oh, I'm stepping into Bail Organa, who's already been well established by a phenomenal actor in his own right, and not just doing a copy of Jimmy Smith, but he said he wanted to put his own spin on things. I love the fact, the part where K2 tells Andor, the man you don't like is outside. Like, they didn't get along.
Yeah.
And there were moments even where it's like, Luthen, they were sort of downplaying Luthen's contribution to the rebellion. And I love how Andor and even Mothma were like, okay, we wouldn't be here without him.
Right.
And it was nice to kind of see Bail as sort of not an adversary, but like they weren't always kumbaya amongst themselves.
Right. And you know what? And that's a really good point. And that was something that was one of the topics I wanted to talk about. So that's a good transition. Let's talk about the dark side of the rebellion. We look at the rebellion as being the good guys, but we have some people doing some really, really bad shit for the right reasons. Andor, when we see him in Rogue One, he takes his buddy out. We see him in season 1, he's, killing cops, he's not afraid to take somebody out, but he so believes in the cause. I felt like he was just one nudge away from being Saw Gerrera, like Saw he'd lost his shit and he had already gone over the edge. But so what are your thoughts on the morality of the rebellion? You've got Mon Mothma, and her hands have to be kept clean. And I think everyone around her was trying to do as well as they could to make that happen, because we're all getting our hands dirty, but Mon has to stay clean, And so then we see other people doing shady shit on her behalf, or on the rebellion's behalf. So what are your thoughts on that? Were lines crossed?
Well, compared to who? You've got the Empire literally. I thought the middle episode of the Gorman arc was fantastic, where it was very themed on the French Resistance. And
100%.
There were the moment when Cassian and a professional rebel sees this like local resistance, thinking, "Oh, they're opening the plaza." No, they're making a funnel for you to walk into.
Yeah.
So I saw it was a great post. Somebody made online a picture of the stormtroopers coming down the stairs into the plaza and the KX droids, and basically saying, "Yeah, Andor's the first time I've ever felt afraid of stormtroopers before." And I'm like, that was the point of Star Wars from the beginning. You're not supposed to like these guys. They are the space Nazis.
They are. They're the bad guys.
Literal, mass public execution of a people, which is generally considered a bad thing most times. But compared to, how do you fight an evil like that without using some questionable tactics? Like Luthen says, he burns his life for a sunrise he won't see.
Right.
Yeah, the rebellion has to get dirty to fight the Empire on its terms. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just talk. It's just empty protesting.
Right.
You can't possibly win a battle against a force that strong without having to cross some moral lines. Like, there's just no way. And you always have to couch it in the, yes, some of us are going to have to do some bad things, but we're doing it against worse people, and we're doing it for the benefit of everybody else. And we know we're going to be damned for it. I have quite a lot of thoughts on this. I see a lot of parallels to other media. You mentioned, we have to keep Mon clean, and that's absolutely correct. And for me, the parallel to that is Harvey Dent in the Batman trilogy.
Oh,
where it's he was the best of us. He has to be that clean person. We can be bad, but he has to be that clean person, because otherwise we don't have a public face.
Right.
And so Mon is filling that role. Meanwhile, Luthen, I think, for lack of a better parallel, because it's not perfect, he reminds me very much of V for Vendetta, where it's he knows he's building a future that he's not going to be a part of.
Right.
But he has to do this. He knows he's going to die doing it, but this is his role that he has to play to fulfill a better future for the rest of us.
And what a great line too, right? That line, like, I'm going to burn it down for a sunrise I'll never see.
Mm-hmm.
And again, imagine, we talked about this last season on Clone Wars. Imagine if Saw Gerrera had managed, if Steela had been alive,
Oh yeah.
but also as we find out, if Saw Gerrera wasn't huffing Rhydonium fumes because he thinks he sees his sister, people think, well, Saw Gerrera's a fanatic. He's a fanatic. He's crazy because he's been through so much.
He's been through so much
to
shit.
try to deaden that pain. He's huffing fumes of explosives
that would normally kill people.
And that's where the breathing mask and all that.
Yeah.
If he could have kept some semblance of sanity together, he could have been just as great as Luthen. And I think that's almost that's where his story becomes more of a tragedy in that, yes, he's an extremist. Yes, he crosses the line more than the rebellion does. And I love the scene. They did it in Rebels a little bit, but the scene they do in Andor, where Mon's arguing with, he's worried about spies within his ranks, the rebellion. You're tracking. He's so out of whack up here.
Yeah.
That he's not an effective tool for the rebellion, and that's why they had to cut him loose. And that leads into Rogue One, where it's like, hey, that crazy guy, we need to talk to him.
Yeah, now we need to talk to him.
Now we got to talk, and it really shows, like, when Andor is like, look, we need this girl to get to Saw, because otherwise he'll probably shoot us.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, you never know if Saw's gonna turn on you. But it's like he's I think for him what's that?
Look at how he turned on Willem when he was there to advise about the drilling thing. And he picks off a guy he thinks is a spy, and then he says, "Oh, you're not leaving. I need you." It's like, that wasn't the deal.
The waters for Saw got so muddied. It's like he really lost sight. I mean, he was there for the cause. He would have died. He did die for the rebellion, no doubt about it. But I think had he not died, I think that he would have become a much, much worse figure. I think it would have, the lines really would have been blurred, and he would have gone to any means necessary. He already was at that point, but I think he would have gotten much, much worse. So, in the end, he went out. I was never happy with the way he went out. I would have preferred that he went out like in battle, but basically it took half of a planet to kill him. So I guess that's pretty hardcore too. So, but great series. Andor is incredible. I thought that it was a nice lead up to Rogue One. Do you guys feel that it was a pretty good lead up to Rogue One?
Especially the last 3 episodes was just, my family's doing right now. They're watching the last 3 episodes, and afterwards we're probably going to watch Rogue, because it's such a great tie-in. That montage at the end alone.
And Tony hasn't seen it yet. Yeah,
I don't want to give that.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
I'm being as vague as I can. And it was just, so many little, the shoelaces, people talk about Easter eggs. The shoelaces got tied. All the things we wanted to know about Rogue One going in, Andor ties the shoelaces for it.
I agree. I was very happy with how it all wrapped up. And Tony, once you watch those 3 episodes, I'm really curious to hear what your take is.
Well, it's something that I've been working on it for a little while now, and I'm going to be watching the last few episodes later tonight. By the end of the week, I've already got about 4 or 5 pages worth of a blog post going over episode by episode.
Okay.
That'll all get posted when it's done.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's cool. So and also that's a nice little tie-in too, because we have blogs. circleofnerds.com/blogs, BLOGS. Head on over to the website and check it out. We've got a few. We got a new one and then a bunch of old ones, but they're all worth reading while you're doing your weekend number 2s. So that's good stuff. Now, Crash, we do need to talk about leading up to season 6 of the Clone Wars. Do you want to regale us with your tales before or after we talk about the Clone Wars?
Let me do it now so we can focus on the Clone Wars.
Okay.
As everybody that follows us on social media knows, I was out at Disneyland for May 4th.
Again.
Again.
How many times have you been to Disney this year? Galaxy's Edge?
This was my first time. I've only been to Disneyland 3 times.
Well, Disneyland. Have you been to Disney World yet this year?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
you said not yet. In a couple of days I'll be there.
Hey, it's Crash's Corner, man. I got to get my travel vlogs in.
There you go.
So, anyways, my family wanted to go do the Star Wars Night special events at Disneyland. They have all sorts of great stuff. I saw that Death Star cake in the Grand California Hotel, made out of Rice Krispies. It's this giant Death Star in the lobby.
That's cool.
Beautiful. It's fantastic. Got to spend some quality time in Batuu, which is in their Disneyland.
Yeah.
Met Luke Skywalker, which is a personal yay for me. Got excited about that. I adopted my Tauntaun bucket over here.
Nice.
Everybody meet Steve the Tauntaun.
Good old
Hi,
Steve.
And it's just great. It's like I said, we got to go, and then the park closes, and the after hours event happens, and you get fun stuff like these. These are swizzle sticks for the drinks.
Come on.
They come. These are hard to get.
That's so cool.
And they got them in red, and they got them in blue. They
Sure.
get the castle all lit up, and you could do a thing with a QR code where basically whoever light side, dark side, whoever gets the most votes, the castle animation will shift accordingly.
My God, that's awesome.
And it's just great. They got Star Wars themed food. They got all the characters out there. They do a big thing in Galaxy's Edge where Rey shows up, and the whole plaza is built. Everybody's got lightsabers that they let them up all at once. It's this great big moment. We were in the front of the park in like Frontierland, Critter Country, where Winnie the Pooh stuff is. I got a great picture of me and my dad riding speeders. They have a Endor speed bikes.
What?
So and they're cut in half. So you stand behind this prop speeder. So
Okay.
there's me, and then there's a guy who looks like me, but maybe 30 years older. And he's wearing my dad's got this X-wing pilot hoodie on. He's got his Mickey ears on, and it was great for me. I mentioned this on a post. I said, growing up, my dad worked late nights and third shifts kind of stuff. So I didn't get to play with him a lot when I was a kid doing Star Wars stuff. So the idea now as adults that, he can come with me and we could be silly and do this kind of stuff. It was fantastic. We had a great time.
God, that's awesome.
We're gonna go on another trip down to Walt Disney World sometime in this calendar year. I'm gonna do some more Crash's Corners from Batuu for you guys to give you some heads up on what to do. Because the beauty is Batuu in California and Florida are almost identical. The only thing different is the X-wing is placed in a different spot. Other than that, it's identical.
So could you at some point, could you do like a tutorial for us, for those of us who have never been,
that was
the ins and outs, where do you start? How do you, there's so many different things and nuances. And if you just buy tickets and go, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to experience anything. You're going to be standing in line and maybe you don't get it. Maybe, there's just so many little tricks and tips. Could you help us with that?
Yeah, that was my plan. That's kind of what I did. I recorded a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't end up posting because I looked at it and I went, yeah, I could probably do this better when we go back. Yeah, in Batuu especially. But yeah, I could totally, that was kind of the whole point of Crash's Corner, is that I wanted it to be tips. And I've been very fortunate, very blessed that we travel a lot as a family and we do a lot of Star Wars themed stuff together. So between convention, like tomorrow, I'm heading up to Detroit for Motor City Con. I'll have some more reports from there.
Nice.
But yeah, as far as the Disney stuff, I really wanted to show you guys what Galaxy's Edge is like and what's there to do. And we just scratched the surface, and I'm already looking forward to going back and doing more.
Well, we've got to go as a crew, man. We've got to like October 2027. I'm planning on going to Disneyland for Halloween. So that's the plan. So as long as I survive and as long as, America's not blown to bits, I hope that's going to be, but I'm warning you now, if we all go as a crew, I'm going to be in tears the first day, seeing the Falcon in real life for the first time. I'm not afraid to admit I'm going to be crying my face
I'll
off.
tell you, first thing you need to do is, I said in the video, get there first thing in the morning, go straight to Ronto Roasters, get yourself a Ronto wrap, breakfast Ronto wrap, just sit on the balcony and watch the world go by. You just watch the waves of people. The characters usually come out in the mornings, especially in Florida because it gets hot. And Snips and I were looking for Ahsoka because they had a bunch of the newer characters out.
And explain to our listeners who Snips is. You talk about Snips a lot.
Yeah,
That's not
Snips,
your imaginary friend, right? That's not your.
Snips
okay.
is my sister. Her real name's Emily, and I call her Snips because she is very much like Ahsoka. And when that show aired, it just the name stuck because that's the kind of shit.
Have her on the show sometime.
Oh, she's chimed in a couple times in the YouTube in the comments at the bottom. You've read a couple of hers, but so we got there, and we were looking for the Ahsoka from the park. There were people, there were fans dressed up in Ahsoka costumes that were top notch, and if you didn't notice that the bottom was a dress, you would think this was a Disney character, and people have to be very self-conscious about. I was going up taking pictures of people in great costumes, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not a cast member." Like, I know you look great. I just want to get. I always say, I tell people like, "Oh, hey, cousin Billy." So we're just part of the family clique, and I would tell them about the podcast, and some of you guys have already chimed in on our Facebook account. And, thanks for tuning in. It was a really great time. So Snips and I were in Galaxy's Edge, Batu Plaza, looking for Ahsoka where she comes out. So I'm hanging out in one end of Batu by the First Order ship. She's hanging out in the marketplace. Our parents are over by the Millennium Falcon. And I get on a cell phone and be like, blue milk the marketplace, no sight.
You guys are staking it out. That's awesome.
And that's all the first time we went, that's what we did. We staked out the place and this was still during just post-COVID lockdown. So the characters weren't as interactive. I got stopped by Boba Fett. He came up to me out of the blue and talked and did a thing with me in character and you play along, and I was like, that was
I would
fun.
die. I would die. If Boba Fett came up to me, I would die. That would be it. I would literally just die right there. And my ghost would continue to haunt Galaxy's Edge for eternity.
And we did end up finding Ahsoka, and Emily got a picture with her, and it was great. But that's the beauty of going to Disney as a family, of adults like we are, is that we're intentionally going there to have fun. So we don't worry about, screaming kids or, I need a snack or I need we do. My dad always had to say, we go on vacation and we live in a way that makes other people who see us want to be us.
I like that.
And that's everywhere we've gone. That's sort of the way we approach it. We're there to have a good time. So, we argue a little bit. We have some differences. Sure. But at the end of the day, we are there to have a blast, and we've always had a good time at Disney parks.
Well, tell your dad it works because I've only heard about your adventures, and I want to be you. I want to go where you go and do what you do, because damn. And now let me ask you about the. I know with other characters, Disney's really, really big on making sure that their cast members really, really fit the bill. And I know it's easier to do with animated characters, but when you're talking about live action face characters, it's maybe a little more difficult. So is when Ahsoka's coming out, is this a young Ahsoka or is this Rosario Dawson Ahsoka?
They have her dressed in the Ahsoka the White outfit. So everything in Batu is set in the sequel trilogy era, either shortly after Return of the Jedi, but before. You can see Mandalorian and Grogu come out as well. We saw that. We've seen them before.
So we are in Mandalore. So we're
Mando era basically.
But we're not. But we're also First Order era as well, right?
Yeah, First Order.
Kylo's there, and then Rey,
Kylo and the First Order troopers are there. They're starting to blur the line a little bit into the Mandoverse. Boba Fett's in Book of Boba Fett armor. Fennec Shan, Ahsoka's in her white outfit. Hera, Sabine, are all in their Ahsoka, post Return of the Jedi looks.
I saw Sabine; she looks fantastic.
Oh, they got great the character actors they have both there in a California Adventure for the Marvel campus are just top notch. They had they just debuted a guy, Red Guardian, in Avengers Campus, and I mean, you can't help but talk like the voice just when you see this dude,
we just saw Thunderbolts over the weekend, and like we're watching it. It's like, man, if I was taller, I would totally cosplay him. I would totally cosplay him. That's awesome.
I know a lot of our friends in the Fiverse like to talk about how they're the preferred professional. Disney characters put anything a fan groups do, especially when it comes to interacting with people. Like the Luke Skywalker is good. It's not. He's obviously not a clone of Mark Hamill, but I mean,
oh yeah, sure.
The costume's top notch. The hair, the wig he wears is better than some guys I've seen in the Legions. But he interacts so well.
So the vibe is there, right? He's got the vibe.
The vibe is there, and that's always for me. Even when I was in the Legion, I was not a face character, but my thing was, I don't look like any particular character, but I want to make sure the vibe is there and the interactiveness with especially kids was my priority.
Okay.
And Disney people put us to shame.
Well, yeah. I mean, they kind of have the budget and they're getting paid to do it.
Well, yeah.
How cool would that be? How cool? I don't know how much cast members get paid, but honestly, I feel like I would take a pay cut to be I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get paid more than I do. I don't know. But I think I would take whatever they gave me to be a cast member because, and I know it's got to be difficult. You're in the costumes, it's but as cosplayers, we've done this as 501st, guys, we've been in the hot costumes, we've, for hours and hours. So, I mean, we could do it. So, Disney, hey, if you're looking for a Captain Rex, I mean, I got, you don't even have to give me the costume. I've already got it. So.
And another thing that was really special was our taxi driver. We took a shuttle taxi to the park in our hotel. He was telling us, we've all heard on the news about the LA wildfires.
Yeah. And
it was interesting having a local pointing out as you're driving along the freeway, like, oh yeah, 10 miles from here. Like, I'm wearing, they did a fundraiser shirt for the local Red Cross Fire Department people.
That's cool.
All the proceeds from these shirts went to the local. The people in LA are being very supportive of their first responders after this, and it was just nice to chip in a little bit and say, we appreciate you and God bless you, man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it saved a lot of lives. And these are the guys that they run towards the danger, not away from it.
Right.
Like you gotta tip the hat, and if you can help support. That's cool that Disney did that, though.
Yeah.
I know Disney is also like the evil empire and a soulless capitalist, beast. But even if it's just for PR, they're still raising money for a good cause.
The meme is shut up and take my money. Don't even shut up. Like, I'll gladly and let me have a good time. I'll blow my money in Disney before I do in like a casino anytime.
Yeah. Oh, happily do it. Yeah. Somebody said something about they said, I don't have kids. Why should I pay taxes for school? And I had posted something on my Facebook. I said, I would happily see my money, my tax dollars going to pay for school lunches, arts programs, things like that. Whether I had kids or not is irrelevant. But anyway, all right, moving on. Let's if you don't mind, if you wanted to get more into this, if you wanted to write something for the blog site, or if you wanted to post as many videos as you want about your experiences, I think that people would find that really useful. Yeah. And then you can put them up on our pages and our sites and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I've been focusing mostly on the Facebook page and the Crash's Corner videos, but after the show, we'll talk about, I can start how to send you text or how to get me into the system to post stuff. Yeah, love to, because especially, again, I've been very fortunate to be well-traveled both domestically and internationally, and it's just fun to share, especially when it's Star Wars related. I've met so many people. I like Andor. I have friends everywhere.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's like, say what you want about Star Wars. I mean, like we always say, we love it, but we don't always like it. But one thing about Star Wars, it doesn't even matter what side you're on. Are you part of the fandom menace? Are you, the like us, we're just the lovable shills throwing all of our money at the franchise? It doesn't matter what side of the Star Wars coin you're on. I think we're all united in this shared love of the franchise. Even the fandom menace, they wouldn't be this passionate about hating things unless they loved something about it. You know, I think some of them are like going a little overboard just for the clicks and the views and the monetary reimbursement.
The performative side of it.
The performative side of it, sure. But you can't have that level of hate for a franchise you don't love or that you haven't loved in the past. So I really think that that's one of the things I love about Star Wars. I'm sure other fandoms are the same way. Other fans feel the same way about their fandoms. But like you said, you know, this is international. We could go anywhere and we will meet Star Wars fans that will treat us like family. You know, they'll open their homes to us. They'll troop with us. They'll want to hang out. We'll sit and we'll talk for hours and debate and drink and eat and all about Star Wars, all about space wizards and laser swords, because at the end of the day, that's really what all this is about. And the always ever present underlying message of hope, no matter what. That is the one constant throughout Star Wars. No matter what you're watching, I don't care what episode or what movie you're watching, there is always that message of hope everywhere. And the fandom menace, you know, they give people a hard time. We give them a hard time, but I think even them, the ones that aren't grifting for money, but the ones that actually legitimately feel betrayed and feel hurt by the direction, you know, and some of the choices that Disney has made over the years. I was hurt by the loss of the EU, but I'm grateful that we're getting little bits of it sprinkled back into us. But, you know, they have hope that Star Wars, for them, they have hope that Star Wars is going to get better. You know, Star Wars right now is the dark times for them. You know, they've lived through, you know, the golden age of the Republic, and now they're living in the dark times because they hate what's happening in Star Wars. But they're holding out hope. Oh, we got to hurry up. Tony's about to fall asleep. He's over there yawning.
I'm good.
I'm just rambling and being boring as fuck. But anyway, so let's talk about season 6. That's why we're here. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So season 6, we've got a lot going on coming up in season 6, and I wish Louis was on the show with us tonight, because 2 of his favorite characters are featured heavily in season 6, Yoda and Fives, Clone Trooper Fives. So, and Crash, obviously you've seen it already. Tony, you haven't seen season 6, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we've got a Clovis arc. Clovis is back, Padme's former lover. And there's maybe going to be a little tension between her former lover and her current lover, husband,
maybe
father of her children. So Tony, this is mostly for you. Like, what are you? So we're gonna see Yoda going on a journey. And we're gonna be delving a little bit more into the dark side. Is this something that you're interested in seeing? Is like more of Yoda's journey, or are you more interested in seeing the clones, or do you like more of like the political side of things as we move into season?
I'm happy for pretty much any content. That being said, it's called the Clone Wars. I want to see the clones. I know where the story is going.
Sure.
There's obviously,
but you don't know how we're going to get there.
We've been steadily going down this path, and like you can see the groundwork that laid.
Yeah.
But like, we know how bad it is when we get to the end game. So I know we're going down that path, and I'm like, as much as there's parts of me that don't want to see it, I want to see it. Like,
you want to see how we get there. You know where we're going, but you don't know how we get there.
Yeah.
All right, Crash, and you've seen this all already. So what are your thoughts on this season? Because this season really does kind of take a different turn.
Yeah, my take on this was, I didn't watch it originally when it was. I didn't have Netflix, so I didn't get to watch it until it came on DVD, Blu-ray. So I got to watch them all as one big collection. You know, kind of like when Disney
nice.
Plus. And that was kind of a nice way to like just dive right in. The show ended abrupt. It wasn't canceled because it was underperforming or anything else. It was just a product of the Disney sell for Lucasfilm.
Right.
And so they just, you had this show that was sort of running on all cylinders and was going off into different tangents. And it comes to a sudden stop. And then shortly after, when they went, well, we've got some stuff done. So we're going to give you these like little mini arcs that we were probably going to do in the next season anyways.
Right.
And Fives was a big one. Like you said, the Yoda one was interesting because
it was interesting. Yeah.
It starts to lay some seeds for what we know about him later on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Padme, Clovis, Anakin triangle feels a little forced in my opinion. Like I was like, okay, we're doing the Clovis thing just so we can bring Catherine back and we can have some Anakin Padme tension.
Sure.
But it's a good, it's a good story. It's just you can tell this was like a mini tangent that they were going to go down in the next season anyway.
Right.
Because everything, as we get closer to Revenge of the Sith, there's just like, okay, where are Anakin and Padme at this point? Where are they in their relationship? We know where they're going to end. She's going to end up pregnant, but were things rocky? Were things bumpy along the way? So I was like, okay, we're bringing the ex-boyfriend back. Anakin's going to hate his guts. Let's just get through that one. And you see a different side of the Confederacy, and I was like, okay, cool. There's good things to take out of it. The Yoda one was kind of a little on the, I don't know what the right term is. It gets real trippy real fast.
It's a little unsettling at times.
Yeah.
It's a little, yeah. There's I don't, I'm afraid to say anything else. And just as a preview, it got a little trippy and you're like, okay, it's kind of like that one where C-3PO and R2 went underground with the little, with the wolf pack.
Yeah. With the wolf pack and
Commander Wolf. And then
we're getting mystical is I guess a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that was cool. And they're fun episodes and they're okay. And and I think the fact that those were so well received, after again, the show was and over time, I think is what eventually led Disney to say, hey, Dave, you want to do a season 7, we'll give you a proper ending, tie into Revenge of the Sith. Again, tie the shoelaces, connect the dots,
right?
Get us to that end point, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, hey, the company's sold, show's over."
And they really could have done the fans dirty, but they didn't.
Oh, they could have pulled a Firefly on us so bad.
Oh, jeez. that is Firefly is a heartbreak I will never heal from. Ever. It's just anyway, there's been talk of them trying to bring Firefly back as an animated series, but I don't know. I think it's better just to let it rest.
Yeah, it was a moment. It was a very, the fact that the fan rising up got a movie was a big deal. For a show that only did one season.
Only one season.
And I think it's kind of the thing. Even a reboot, I don't think would be with new actors would be like, no, that wasn't what we loved about it. But enough time has gone by that I don't know if they can just jump back in. There's a lot of revivals now lately. Everybody's like trying to restart old franchises. I don't think Firefly is one that they could do successfully.
Oh man, you want to talk about fandom menace level shit? I think that Firefly purists would riot. It would have to be done so well with so much love. So a new Firefly show. It couldn't be a reboot. You couldn't recast. It would have to be a love letter to the first season of Firefly. And obviously you can't, I don't think anyone's coming, but you can't bring back Wash. Obviously there's people you can't bring back. And part of the joy of that series was the ensemble cast. So you've got to have a whole brand new cast and maybe bring the survivors back in cameo from time to time, but you because
look what happened.
Mal and Anar and Zoe,
look at the original Battlestar Galactica, which was a beloved show from our childhood, with a crappy spin-off second season. I mean, Galactica in 1980 wasn't great, but it was the best you could do it back then. When they did BSG, they literally just said, "Hey, we're just gonna start from scratch. We're gonna change some things. We're gonna deal with the fan reaction to that, and we're just gonna do our
nailed it.
Nailed it.
They nailed it. They nailed it. Even recasting, like gender bending Starbuck. I know a lot of fans were like, but you've got Katie fucking just bringing it home every single episode, fucking delivering every single episode.
I loved she does a great podcast. Who doesn't do it? But she does a great podcast where she talks about that, and she just had Sam Witwer on it, so it was a Galactica reunion for the two of them. And I'm just like, I love hearing them talk shop about what it was like on their side of the camera. You know, I remember what the Nerdverse was reacting to these shows when they came out, but whenever she can get like a Sam Witwer or a Trisha Helfer on, I love hearing them talk shop about.
Oh yeah. And how cool is it that her and Sam end up on Star Wars years later? I mean, that's so cool. And I think was she talking to Jonathan Frakes about possibly doing Star Trek? Like she wants to do Star Trek.
Oh, she wants, she wants to do.
She was talking. I thought it was Jonathan Frakes, maybe not. I guess he might be working on a different project or a new project.
Well, he's big on directing now for all the new Star Trek shows.
Yes. So I think he was like, yeah, just let me know your availability. So Katie Sackhoff will officially become Queen of the Nerds. Like she will be Queen of the Nerdiverse, like period, bar none. Because she'll have Battlestar Galactica, she'll have Star Trek, she'll have Star Wars. She's been featured on Big Bang Theory, you know. So I mean, she is Queen of the Nerds.
She did the Flash as a recurring character.
She did the Flash. So all right, so we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Season 6, we're getting ready to start that. Homework for season 6, we would like for you to watch episodes 1 through 4 of season 6. So we're going to break these up into their arcs. So I think the Clovis arc is just 3 episodes. And then we're going to have like 2 straggler episodes at the end. So we're going to, but we'll figure it out. We'll get it all worked out.
And we may have some new surprises for you guys along the way. We're working on bringing some guests on the show to kind of mix things up a little bit.
Fingers crossed. Sam, come on, buddy. I know you're watching. You watch every week. I know you do. So please come on, join us, because you're king of the nerds. If Katie is queen of the nerds, Sam, you're king of the nerds. I've heard you. Well, no disrespect, but I think maybe Dave might be king of the nerds. But you're definitely.
I'll tell him you
Dave
said
is
hi
emperor.
tomorrow.
Okay. Yes, please. So Dave is emperor of the nerds, and Sam is king of the nerds, and that's. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But before we go, I do have a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
Because we are moving into the real heartbreaking phase of Star Wars here. I mean, Star Wars is always about, you know, that rise, fall, and then rise back to hope. So, in your opinions, who had the most devastating, heart-wrenching journey in Star Wars? Anakin, Rex, Padme, Andor, Obi-Wan, you know, or was it Han Solo with I know? What I mean, what really just, who do you think has like the most just heart-wrenching journey? I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
That's it.
All right. This may be a little recency bias.
All right, that's okay.
But from what I've seen, like we don't have a ton of history on the character, but I have enough for myself right now. I think Bix deserves to be in the running.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Bix has gone. Ugh, yeah, you're not wrong. Bix has been through it. Crash, what do you think?
Oh, Tony, go ahead.
Oh, Tony, you got more?
No, I mean, you know, where we are in the story arc right now, Ahsoka's definitely got a claim to the run, but obviously we know her story's nowhere near done yet, so I can't really, go too far down that road. And I mean, I definitely think Padme's definitely got a claim to the crown as well. But those would be my top 3.
All right, Crash, what do you think?
Off the top of my head, the person I feel a general sense of empathy for the most is Rex.
Yeah.
We talked about Umbara. We saw the trauma of that on him, and that's going to carry over into this season and season 7 especially. Mon Mothma, and the thing that really changed my mind about in Andor was the heartbreak of Mon Mothma.
Think about the weight she has to carry.
It's one thing to say, well, okay, you're like you said, she's the shining knight that has to stay clean in the rebellion, but just look at the things she's lost or had to sacrifice. Her daughter to an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Her husband who just doesn't give 2 shits about her.
No. Her daughter was an asshole too, though. Her daughter turned on her.
Not a lot of sympathy, but as a mother, you just like that wedding episode was fantastic, where you're trying to if you want to back out, we'll back you on that. It's okay to say I don't want to do this.
Right.
And the kid was so wrapped up in she's such a fanatic that she was just like, why would I not want this?
Right.
But you see the things that Mon has lost along the way, and up until this show started, we didn't realize that her cousin was involved. I don't want to give too much away. Tony's got some episodes. I love the way Val and Mon have bonded.
Yeah.
And within the rebellion, it's great. It's nice that she has somebody familiar to kind of latch on to, because otherwise,
very true,
she would be like the odd man out in this Yavin guerrilla base.
Yeah, you're right.
So those 2 are my picks.
Okay. All right. Oh, do we have a comment?
I don't know.
We have a comment. Oh, we do. So, I don't know how to pronounce the Granny. Granny O'Donnell says everyone has been hurt in so many different heartbreaking ways. Oh yeah,
that is.
You're
true.
Absolutely right. Throughout Star Wars. Also goes on to say Rex never had hope before he met the Jedi. Then all hope he had built for the future broke before our eyes, having to kill his brothers. Ouch!
Oh yeah.
Ouch! Oh
yeah. That
Granny. Yeah.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Whew, that's true. And Rex is my favorite. Rex is my favorite character, and I've got to. If we're doing, since Sony, you said if we're doing like top 3, I guess. I'm sorry, Crash. Continue. I'm sorry.
Those were the 2. I could think of a couple more, but those are the 2 on the top of my head. Because the more recent, Andor was great in how they just showed different characters' connections.
Yeah.
To the even Clea, she's teaming up with a guy who we see in the flashback. It was part of some massacre. Destroyed her village. She goes off with him. Yeah, I have bias for Rex too.
I think we all have a little bias for sexy Rexy.
But with Clea, you can see her anger, about just fueling her. When she has to pull the plug on Luthen, I mean, it's like she's losing. They talk about being father daughter when it's necessary. In that moment, I mean, she really was his daughter, and you could see how much doing this that needed to be done just tore at her. And it was like, great acting, great writing. The show's just top notch. I'm biased. I would say, when it comes time for award season, this show should be considered.
I hope so.
Don't get the respect they deserve. But I think of all of the Star Wars shows, I think this one's got the gravitas to actually say, look, we're a legitimate show contender for some of these awards.
I agree. And I do think, I think Granny had it right. They said everyone has been hurt in so many different ways, so many different heartbreaking ways. Absolutely true. I love Andor. Skeleton Crew is still my favorite Star Wars show so far. But if we're talking about tragic journeys, Rex, of course, it doesn't end tragic for him though. I mean, he's just one of those like Mon Mothma. He just carries the weight gracefully, and that in itself is tragic, But I think my top two tragic figures, Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, he has given everything of himself to the point where there's virtually nothing left at the end. And then he literally gives himself to save Luke. His entire journey is just a journey of selflessness. He had love, and oh my God, him and Satine, it's like, oh, it hurts my chest so bad. But it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. He has given up everything for the Jedi Order, for the Force, and then finally for Luke and Leia. Obviously more for Luke, but I mean, we see what he did for Leia, but gave everything up. And then finally, I would say that my next most tragic figure would be Jabba the Hutt. I mean, here you've got this guy just minding his own business. He's got some hobbies. He's got a job. He's got some friends. And then all of a sudden, some deadbeat who owes him money starts messing up, with his job. And then his girlfriend comes and kills him. So he gets murdered by some deadbeat's girlfriend. And when he's just in the prime of his life, he's a father. He's a local businessman, an entrepreneur, a business hut. And there's no sympathy. There's no sympathy for Jabba at all. And I think that is just tragic that no one has any empathy for poor Jabba the Hutt. But that's just me. But Obi-Wan for sure. I mean, if we're topping the list of tragic figures, it's gotta be Obi-Wan. People might try to edge him out with Anakin, Darth Vader, but Obi-Wan never killed babies. So for me, Obi-Wan is top tier tragic figure. We're gonna get to some pimping here in a minute, but does anyone have anything else before we head out?
Crash. Yeah. Before we go, I posted this on our Facebook page. The Star Wars fan community lost a giant yesterday. John Paulson was a friend of mine from Sunrider Base, and you might know him. He was in the 2007 Rose Bowl parade. Remember when the 501st marched and they had a group? Yeah. He was part of they called it the Hero Squad. He was a rebel pilot that got to march alongside the float in that part of the parade.
Oh, that's cool.
Good buddy of mine, fellow Y-winger, and he tragically died yesterday. He's been battling cancer. So I just wanted to give a fly casual, brother. We will see you out there.
All right. May the force be with you, brother.
Yes,
man.
Indeed.
And as the Mandalorians say, not gone, just marching far away.
There you go.
That's it. He's just trooping somewhere different now. That's all. Man, there's a lot. I've got 3 different names on my Mandalorian armor for people that have passed. It's just it's tough because you form friendships. We're just for all the infighting and the politics, we're still just one big family.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, like I said earlier, about getting to travel and go to places like Celebration. I've been to the West Coast 3 times for various celebrations and Disney stuff. I love running into people that I met on the forums, and I only know them as like a screen name, Hazard 3. Right now, my Facebook profile picture is a little Hazard Squadron, banner for it says Hazard 3 across the side of it. Those guys are great. They have like 20, 30 pilots in California, and he was the best among them.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you knew him, and again, you never would have met him had it not been for Star Wars.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. God, I love Star Wars. Love it. And I don't care. I don't care who hates it. I don't care if you hate it. I don't care if you shit on it. I don't care if you're a part of the fandom menace. How sad for you to feel that way all the time when I just feel so much joy for Star Wars all the time because of things like that, stories like that, Crash. Love it. None of us would have met without Star Wars. None of us would have met. Well, Tony, maybe me. No, I wouldn't even know Tony because I met Tony through Louis, and I wouldn't have met Louis if it wasn't for the 501st because I was trooping, and I don't think he was trooping yet. He wasn't even involved. We had met on base, and now we've all formed this lifelong friendship. Thank you, George Lucas.
Absolutely.
Whose birthday it was recently.
Yeah.
Yesterday, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The Maker. The Maker. That's going to be a sad day when he becomes one with the Force.
Oof.
I don't want to think about it. All right, let's end the show on a jolly happy note, shall we? As we pimp our gear. So head on over to our website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and pick you up some really cool Star Wars safe space stuff. We've got shirts and hoodies and all that fun stuff. And I'm not wearing one today because it was dirty because I was wearing it all day yesterday. I got to get more. And if you like us and you want to continue to check us out and see what we're doing from our day-to-day, follow us on all of the social medias at the SWS Show. Everywhere. We're probably more active now on Facebook. We've also got our Facebook group. It's called Swarzy Curious. It is a very, very private group. We are very particular about who joins. It's very exclusive because we don't want any haters in there. So no haters at all. So if you're interested, just look for us on Facebook. Swarzy Curious is the name of our group. But of course, we've got our main page, Star Wars Safe Space. So check us out. And I think that's it. I talked about the merch. We talked about the blog.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
We got our homework assignments.
Got your homework assignments. That's it. So just thank yous, right? Just thank yous.
Yeah.
Oh, what you got, Crash?
No, I was just saying, let's not do this again. In 3 weeks from now, let's do it next week.
Yeah, we'll do it next week. Why not? We'll do it next week. At least for the next 7 weeks, and then we'll take 2 weeks off, and we'll be back at it again. So we want to thank you for tuning in. We know that you could be doing anything anywhere else right now, but you're making a conscious choice to listen to us. Don't know why, but thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, as always, a tip of the hat and a salute to all of our veterans and active duty service members for going out there and for serving and sacrificing every day. Every single day, we salute service members, active duty service members,
and our first responders.
Guard, veterans, because even if you're not in combat, you're still serving and you're still sacrificing on a daily basis. And people don't understand this. If you're in the military, you voluntarily give up some of your constitutional rights, all for the greater good. So thank you so much, brothers and sisters. And that is going to do it for us this week. Thank you again so much for joining us. You guys got anything else on the way out?
Nope. Heading up to Motor City tomorrow. Going to shoot some more stuff for Crash's Corner and maybe throw a block up there for you guys. If you're in Detroit, you see me, say hi.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, cool. All right, thanks guys for joining us on the show. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in, watching, and listening wherever you're at. And we will see you next week. And as always, remember, if no one does anything nice for you, do something nice to yourself. And we're going to see y'all next week. Bye.